I did not appreciate Hawkeye enough until that show.
Yeah.
I was still mad at the events of the main films, and I wasn't ready to forgive. And then that show made me a softie.
Well, I think Kate really brings him back. Like
Yeah,
that's
I
the
think so.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. Yeah,
Yeah. And how can you not love Pizza Dog?
exactly. Pizza
Yeah.
Dog.
Yeah, exactly.
So great. Oh, what a good show.
Yes. Um my name is Eric. I'm hi. I'm going to be seeing you in just a few weeks, which is
Awesome.
really cool at Farpoint. So, you don't mind if I record this, correct?
Not at all. Do you
Okay.
need me to record anything on my end?
If you just want to just record using WebEx, I guess, if it allows you to. If not, I've got it recording here in Streamlabs.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
I'll let that happen
Okay.
then. I won't mess anything else up.
Sounds good. So, I'm ready when you are.
All right, let's do it.
All right. It is my pleasure. Sorry, keep saying It's my pleasure to be sitting down with Erin MacDonald, who is one of the scientific advisors for Star Trek.
Yep, that's me.
That's awesome. So, Erin, tell me what you do as a scientific advisor in the Star Trek franchise.
Yeah, thanks. Well, my background is in astrophysics, so I got my PhD in general relativity and gravitational waves. But I love science fiction. Like I'm just a huge sci-fi nerd, and so like when I was working in research, I was always looking for ways to like apply what to procrastinate. I was looking for ways to procrastinate, which meant like I would look up how would warp drive work and how does time travel work and all that fun stuff. So I started teaching a lot of science fiction, going to sci-fi conventions and the like, and then started to meet creatives. Ended up now working on the Star Trek franchise. This is a big 7 year events, things that happen in between that. Um, but yeah, basically what I do is I'm the official advisor in the sense that I am just kind of on retainer for the franchise. So any projects that they have, any TV shows, whatever, they can reach out to me. They don't have to, but I'm available if they have any science questions or they want to have a conversation or talk about story or post production or really anything. So that kind of it makes it simpler for them to not have to go find people for every single independent show. And then also it puts me kind of in charge of managing consistency across the franchise. So the way we talk about warp drive transporters, all of that stuff stays the same from show to show.
That's really cool. I love that. So I take it that you've been helping with Discovery, Strange New Worlds. Have you done
Yeah.
Lower Decks as well?
So I came on, let me see, it was back in 2019, which is crazy that that's like into 5 years now. But I started on season 3 of Discovery just as a one-off job. So this
Okay.
is Michelle Paradise took over for season 3. This is when they jumped to the future, and they had the idea of the burn, and she wanted to get some scientists in to kind of help build a backbone for the science of the story. And so she hired myself for the astrophysics and Professor Mohammed Noor to do the biology. And we worked on like just that together. And then
Yeah.
from that, that's when I kind of got that role after working on season 3. So I worked on season 3 and beyond of Discovery, season 2 and beyond of Picard. It had already started when I came on. Season 2 and beyond of Lower Decks and Prodigy and Strange New Worlds.
Nice, nice. I
Yeah.
keep forgetting Picard because like that show is just its own self-contained thing.
It's its own thing.
Yeah. 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 But I think it's great that you've also done like Lower Decks. Lower Decks is my favorite Star Trek right now outside of Deep Space
Oh,
Nine.
good. Yes, yes. Oh, it's so good. And like,
It is.
I don't, obviously, there's not a ton of science in the same way there is with like Discovery or anything. But when we do science in Lower Decks, like they take it so seriously.
Oh
And
yeah.
my favorite anecdote with that was at the end of season 2, which is when they help out with the first contact, and then they have to like warp past the debris, but they can't do that, and they have to like strip the hull. Like, I actually helped a lot with that, and that was such a fun episode to work on. And at one point when Kayshawn says, can't we just warp through the debris, and everyone starts yelling at him, you can hear Shax. If you listen carefully, Shax shouts, Dr. Aaron said we can't do that. So
That's fantastic. Was
I'm so honored.
was that the was that the finale that had Cetacean Ops in it as well?
Yeah,
Yes. I love that bit so much. Oh,
it's so good.
it is. It's so great. Um,
Oh.
I love that you worked on Picard. Strange New Worlds. How was that experience?
Great. Strange New Worlds was a lot of fun because that was one where I was involved from season 1. And so all these other ones like Prodigy and Strange New Worlds, I was there for day 1. The other ones I came in after their first season had already finished. And so Strange New Worlds is great because even though it's live action and it's a spin-off technically of Discovery, Discovery and Strange New Worlds are so different. Like, Discovery really holds true to, like, we are scientists who are going to science the science and we are going to, be scientists. And then Strange New Worlds obviously has to like reconcile all the legacy with the different characters, but then it goes back to like the TOS style of storytelling, which is episodic, very philosophical. And, I mean, TOS played fast and loose with science too, the hand of Apollo or whatever, like all sorts of other stuff. And so it really, like, how much science we do for Strange New Worlds is very episode to episode to episode different. Whereas, like, with Discovery, I would be in there from day 1 of breaking the season to be like, okay, like, what's our arc? What's the science behind it? What are they going to discover? Who's going to do what? So, yeah, it's really really fun. The season 1, episode 4, Memento Mori, that was like the Hunt for Red October with the Gorn ship in the brown
Yes.
dwarf. Like, that was a really really fun one to
Hmm.
just be like, and more science stuff and more science stuff, and that was
Yeah.
really cool. It was a good episode. I enjoyed that one.
I'm so glad that you mentioned Memento Mori and the Hunt for Red October thing, because that's one of my favorite bits about Star Trek is just having two ships just like in that submarine combat, like,
Exactly.
and seeing the captains like trying to outmaneuver each other. Like, the perfect example of that was Kirk and Chang in Undiscovered Country, and then of course you had a little bit with Riker in Generations, and I would even say Insurrection, but it's really cool to see it on TV, like,
Yeah,
happening. Like,
for sure.
that's awesome. Um, were you involved in Subspace Rhapsody as well as like in some of the science there?
Okay, so here's the thing with Subspace Rhapsody. It's
Okay.
such a funny episode because so, like, with Strange New Worlds Lower Decks, a lot of them that play fast and loose with science sometimes, they'll come to me with an episode idea, or I'll read the outline or something, and I'm like, okay, shenanigans be happening, God be
Yes.
with you. Don't worry about the science. Just, my job is to just read the script and then, like, make sure you don't say anything wrong and try to not over explain anything and just say, like, look, stay focused on the story. Like, as soon as you start explaining something, you're in trouble. And so that was the approach I was taking with Subspace Rhapsody. They were like, we're going to do a musical episode. And I was like, have fun. Good.
Done.
I'll be here for the next one.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, 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 it has to have science in it. Like, it's a
Yeah.
Star Trek episode. And so I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? So, like, what ended up kind of like, they throw around the term like improbability field, and we kind of reined that in a little bit, that it has to do with subspace and a lot of Star Trek, it's not the first time we've talked about multiverses. Like we've
Hmm.
had, Worf encounter sort of quantum, multiverses before.
Yeah.
Different choices are different universes. So it was kind of tapping into that, there's a lot of different universes out there, and sometimes a rip can happen through that space time at the multiverse level. And yeah, we put science into it, and I'm pretty proud of how it turned out, to be honest. Like, it sounded Trekky. It sounded cool.
So my wife is not a big Star Trek fan, but Lower Decks and Subspace Rhapsody from Strange New Worlds, like she'll sit down and watch Lower Decks because she just loves
Awesome.
just how silly that is. But
Yeah.
she loves musicals, and then Subspace Rhapsody, like she loved it. So thank you, huh? And she loves tribbles. Like she loves tribbles.
Valid, valid.
Yes,
I got a few
yes.
back there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, how can you not love tribbles? Like, even though they eat you out of house and home. Um,
Right.
yeah.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, but to see like that you worked on like these bigger projects, that's really cool. So, what other
Thanks.
fandoms are you into besides Star Trek?
Oh, so many. Uh, so my camera zoomed in a little too much, but I have a big N7 sign, and like
Oh,
I'm a huge. So I
yes.
also play a lot of video games.
Hmm.
Mass Effect is like my other won't shut up about. It's like Star
Yes.
Trek and Mass Effect. When I meet another fan, it's like, hold, like we need to we need
One
to talk.
one of the first games I got on my Xbox 360 was Mass Effect that Christmas.
I have bought so many copies and iterations of that damn trilogy.
It's a great trilogy.
So good. It's so good.
And
Um,
and
yeah.
Andromeda is great too. Sorry. Go
I
ahead.
loved Andromeda. Yes. So
Hmm.
I think the never mind. I'm reining myself in.
Yeah, no, you're fine. So
um,
Mass Effect fan, Star Trek.
Mass Effect, Star Trek. I'm a big Star Wars fan as well.
Yes.
Honestly, like that was probably my first, genuinely like my first exposure to science fiction, however you want to categorize it, but like
Yeah.
space adventures at the very least. My parents were never into science fiction. I didn't really grow up with any of that stuff. It wasn't until, I mean, I was a kid. I think I was still in elementary school, but I was like visiting extended family and they put Star Wars on. And that was the first
Nice.
time I'd ever seen that. And so, like, it always will hold a nostalgia place in
Mm.
my heart. Yeah, I own a lightsaber. I have a Leia tattoo. Like, I love Star Wars. It's a happy comfort place for me,
Hmm.
and I watch all of it. Any Star Wars content,
Hmm.
just inject it into my eyeballs. I don't care. Yeah.
No, no. I mean, I'm the same way. Hence, we're a Star Wars podcast. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I consume all of it just like you do because you're right. It's a comfort thing, and like it just seems like science fiction's one of those things. Regardless if you're a Star Trek fan or a Star Wars fan, it's passed down from like different family members, regardless if it's parents or distant relatives or what have you. That's really awesome. So, go to Star Wars movie would be.
Oh, go-to movie. Depends on my mood. Okay,
Hmm.
so if I want something it's usually original trilogy.
Okay.
And if I want something in the background, it'll be A New Hope. But if I want something to just like zone out, happy place, it'll be Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I love it. And obviously Empire's like there too, but
Hmm.
Empire's like sometimes a little too intense.
Yeah.
And Return of the Jedi, I love every minute of that
Hmm.
film. And I don't hate the prequels. Like, I
Yeah.
still watch them. I really enjoy. My husband and I, like, we build a lot of Lego together. We'll do
Hmm.
like big Lego projects where we will put a movie on, and we frequently will put on like the prequels while we're doing some big Lego build, and it's just fun.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
N- nice. And of course, I have to ask, how do you feel about the sequels and the other Disney projects?
So I didn't mind The Force Awakens. Like,
Hmm.
it was a New Hope, but it's a hero's journey. Like it's a straightforward hero's journey. I love
Hmm.
Finn. I love Rey. Like they were cool characters. And I got to see Leia again and Han Solo. That's all I cared about.
Yeah.
And then the minute Han Solo died, I had a complete transference to Luke Skywalker, and now I'm in love with Luke Skywalker, which is more Mark Hamill than anything. But
Yeah.
I really liked The Force Awakens. And then I loved The Last Jedi.
Hmm.
So it was weird and quirky. It was like, I didn't, because, I was obviously really emotional with Carrie Fisher passing
Yeah.
and everything. And I didn't know what to expect. Um, and I'm like kind of watching it. And I'm like, I don't know about this. And then the minute it cut from like her being spaced, and because I have read all the extended canon stuff, like
Hmm.
that didn't bother me that she has
Nope.
force powers and people can breathe in space. That has been a thing in extended Star Wars canon forever.
Yeah.
Um, but it was like that super emotional thing. She gets back into the ship, and then it cut to Chewie roasting a porg, and I was like, I get this movie now. Like,
Yeah.
I'm here for that. Okay. This is fine. And then on a rewatch, like the more I've rewatched it, the more I've loved it. And to be honest, like I didn't hate Rise of Skywalker, but I've only seen it once, which I think kind of says everything. I never really I'd rather watch something else, I guess, if that makes sense. It was like, okay, that's how they ended it.
Yeah.
Fine. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it makes total sense. I mean, Rise of Skywalker is not for everybody. I've seen it a few times. I think that out of the three sequels, it is the weakest. I think Last Jedi is the strongest of the three, but they're all three fun movies, and you know, it's no Rogue One. I will say that
Yeah.
it's no Rogue One, and it's no Solo, which is a damn fun movie.
It is a fun movie, and that's what, like, yeah, if we go beyond sort of the Skywalker saga, like obviously Rogue One is brilliant. Solo is super fun. And then all of the shows, and this is what I love kind of with Star Trek right now
Hmm.
too, between Strange New Worlds, Prodigy, Lower Decks. It's kind of like that with Star Wars, right? That people could just watch Rogue One and Andor over and over and over again for the rest of their lives, and that could be their Star Wars. And that's what I love, is just being able to have so many different types of in-universe content that you can just consume for whatever mood you're in, as much or as little as you want.
Oh yeah,
um, yeah, I like that. I do have a brief funny story though,
yeah.
because my husband and I, we were traveling through the UK right before Rise of Skywalker came out, and we have huge Star Wars suitcases. And this kid came up to us on the train, and he was wearing like a Rex costume, super young kid, and was like obviously trying to bond with us. And so their parent was like, go ask them like who's their favorite character, go ask them their favorite movie. So he was going back and forth, and the whole train was watching this. And then we were like, so what do you think is going to happen? This kid straight up said, I think Palpatine is Rey's grandfather.
Wow.
That was the first we'd heard of it.
Yeah.
That was like, we both kind of sat there and we're like, well, that's weird. And the dad was like, I don't know where it came from. I'm just like, whatever neurons crossed in that kid's brain had wired that together. And then the minute that happened, I was like, oh my God.
That's
So yeah,
awesome.
that was delightful.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
so Star Trek, Star Wars, Mass Effect. What else you got for me?
Um, MCU. Now
Yeah.
I never was like a comics person, but I've got into them since getting into the MCU, which again, I don't think it matters how you get into a fandom. If it's, if you find something that clicks, that's great. I personally love the Mighty Thor series. Like I've read all of those. That's a
Hmm.
huge, huge one for me. Especially the MCU version, because she's a gravitational astrophysicist who marries a Viking, and my husband looks a lot like Thor. So big hairy Viking man. So
Coincidence?
I bond quite a lot with that character. And I love Black Widow series too.
Hmm.
Like I've actually picked up a lot of those comics. The
Hmm.
Kelly Thompson Black Widow run, I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Um, that was like the first thing that kind of got me back into collecting of any form. Was just trying to actually get all of the back issues for that series, and it was fun. I actually just finished it over the holidays, and so that was pretty exciting to get all of them, to feel that rush and be like, oh my god, they have it. So yeah. And then yeah, I mean, I love Loki. If I could
Hmm.
write for any show, it would be Loki.
Hmm.
Not only do I love the character, but like the time travel shenanigans, I think is super fun. And yeah, so I'm just like big splashy IP person. I'm here for it. Just give me all of it.
Hey, why not, right? Why not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And then yeah, I mean I play, like I said, I play video games. Mass Effect, Dragon Age, OG BioWare is a big
Yeah.
a lot of what I play, solo RPGs, and then just kind of fun management type games. Um, yeah, good times.
Do you play a lot of video games that are like friendship ruining games like Mario Kart and Smash and all of that too?
Uh, so my family, my husband, and my stepkids, when we all are together for summer, we'll do a big bracket Mario Kart marathon, but then we can't touch it for the rest of the year. Smash Brothers is banned in the household. I'm not too big into it, but like, there's a lot of competitive family members, so we try to preserve friendships. We play a lot of co-op board games.
Nice.
Thankfully, we're pretty lucky to like have a good friendship group here that really like kind of big board games.
Hmm.
Even the competitive ones, the ones that are the big strategy, like Scythe or Terraforming Mars or something like that, that those are really, really fun to play, where you don't know who's going to win until the very end, and that's a good time. So yeah.
The board games, that's actually a great segue here. Have you played Marvel Champions from Fantasy Flight?
No, I have not. What type is that? I know there's a ton of Marvel games out there, but I haven't played that one.
So it's a collectible card game that, or a living card game that Fantasy Flight does, and it's all co-op. Like you don't play against anybody. Um,
Oh,
yeah, you're playing against a villain, and like you have to like, so you have a deck, like you have a hero and you have a deck, and like if you run out of cards, you just reshuffle the deck. Um, and so like there's decks are built like there's a leadership deck, an
cool.
aggression deck. Like Hulk is very aggressive, you know.
Nice.
Deadpool,
Oh,
I think
danger.
is yeah. And the cool thing is like you can just build whatever decks, but like if you buy just a deck pack, it already comes like ready to go for the
Awesome.
game. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I was gonna ask, because my obsessive nature tries to stay away from too many collectible games, like, because there's like collectible games and then there's like Star Wars Armada, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I could literally never touch this game because I would never have money again. Like, I know my limits.
As somebody who has just the Armada base set and that alone, I have not touched any more of that game because of how expensive those pieces are. Plus, I don't really have
Danger.
anybody to play play it with.
There's that too. And then you roll up to like a convention and you see some of these sets that people have, and I'm just like, oh, respect, like respect. But I do have limits.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get it. So do you play Magic?
No, I
No?
never played Magic. Yeah, that was not one that ever crossed my path. I would say probably the biggest ones like D&D, I started
Mhm.
playing third edition. Um, which I enjoyed and I've kind of kept up with over the years. And we had a pandemic group, and then my work got crazy, so I left a tragic note, and I make occasional appearances. My character, um, but yeah, I never got into Magic. I do like deck building games in general, and I very unprofessionally pulled out my phone while you mentioned that and wrote that down because I do want to check that out.
What? No, I can't believe I just did that. I can't believe I got somebody else into Marvel Champions. What? No. No,
Yeah, love
that
it.
one's a good one. Disney has a new one too called Lorcana. That has been
I saw that. Yeah, I
yeah.
did see that.
That's been
Yeah.
very hard to find.
Really, I love the Disney Villainous series is a lot of fun. That's a
Mhm.
really fun game to play at, like, especially kind of short, but not like it's the learning curve isn't too high and you can
Yeah.
kind of pull people in if you're killing an hour or two. Um, they're annoyingly too good at their marketing where all of their expansions, I want one of the three. They know that, and that's how they get you to buy them. But yeah,
Yeah, my we have I think a couple of the villainous sets, and the ones that we have, my wife was just like, "Yeah, I like that villain. I like that villain." So, yeah, it's the ones in the sets that, yeah,
they
it's
know. They know
dangerous.
what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fun one though.
Yes. That's awesome that you're into tabletop gaming as well. You said that you played D&D, you play video games. Let me guess, Baldur's Gate took a big chunk of your life as well?
It currently is continuing to take a big chunk of my life. So I started it. I was playing online with the channel Extra Credits.
Hmm.
They do a live streams on Twitch, and I would pop in and I would play with their game a little bit. And then I was gonna co-op play with my husband, but he had a game going with another friend, and so
Hmm.
I was kind of like suspended, and I didn't really sit down and just do a single player and until the end of the holiday season, and so now I'm doing that. So, yes, very good. And I mean, I love it. And the entry to Baldur's Gate, like as a game, wasn't too
Hmm.
bad for me. I'm sure I played the earlier ones, but it was so long ago. But at least they kept so close to the mechanics of D&D that if you're familiar with that,
Hmm.
it's great. I would say I think there were a lot of people who are not familiar with the mechanics of D&D felt very overwhelmed by that game, and
Yeah.
I don't blame them. So, yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. Um, and I'm trying to think of what else to say. I had some questions written down, but kind of gone
All
through
right.
kind of gone through those.
That's
So
okay.
so you mentioned RPGs. Did you play Starfield at all?
No, I haven't played Starfield. That was Bethesda, right? I always get the
Yes.
companies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I've tried Fallout. Like if you talk about like those games that you feel like you should love on paper, on the surface, and all the other people you talk to, I'm like, I don't know what the barrier is to me not getting into the Fallout games. And
Hmm.
I feel like that was the same with Starfield. I'll pick it up at some point, but
Hmm.
I play I haven't touched it because I accidentally got a warrant and I'm afraid to log into my game, but I play a lot of Elite Dangerous. Or at least I did play a lot of Elite Dangerous.
Okay.
But that scratches my space exploration itch,
Mm,
you know? So like if I want to pick up like a spaceship and go run jobs and
hmm.
go explore planets, like that's the game I'll pick up because I've
Nice.
got a long running character. And then I accidentally smuggled something into a planet and I got a warrant and now I'm afraid to log into the game because I'm a lawful good player. And I don't want to have to go dark to evade authorities.
So you pulled a Han Solo.
I did
Everybody
like an
does.
accidental Han Solo.
Yeah. Everybody does it. It's fine. It's fine. We've all been there.
Yeah, right.
We've all done that in
We've
games.
all accidentally smuggled contraband into a city planet.
Uh,
Just
I do it all the time.
yeah,
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 yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So,
Good times.
going back to Star Wars though, real quick, have you and the family been to Galaxy's Edge?
Yes,
Uh,
yes. A couple times actually. So I live in Southern California, and
mm-hmm,
so we went right before the Skywalker ride came out.
mm-hmm,
So it was super quiet. So we got to do the Millennium Ride a few times. And then after we got married, we had a real honeymoon to go to Norway. And
mm-hmm,
then we were like, well, let's have like a pretend fake honeymoon and go to Disneyland for a weekend. So we got like the 2 day pass, stayed in the hotel, even though it's only a 2 hour drive from our house. But it was so fun. And like we spent the whole day at Galaxy's Edge and we bought the lightsabers. We did the whole thing. And then we also
mm-hmm.
did, I think the most fun I had was doing the bounty hunting. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
you've done that.
Not yet.
Yeah. So you have to buy like the because you have to buy everything extra there,
Yeah.
but like you buy the extra wristband. But it was so fun because you basically like scan your wristband and you get a bounty, and it's different. It's all randomized.
Hmm.
And then the wristband like plays hot or cold with you. Like you have to walk around Galaxy's Edge, and it
Hmm.
buzzes hotter and hotter if you're close. And then you scan doors, and then when you find them, you have to collect them and then take it back. And so we basically were just like, all right, first to 10, go. And we just like spent like 2 hours running around Galaxy's Edge bounty hunting. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. Yeah.
Nice. And then celebrated with a beverage at Oga's.
Yes. Yep.
Yep.
Did Ogas. Yep.
Hmm.
Did we had made enough money to get out of the bounty hunting game, and so we said farewell at Ogas, and yeah, and then left from there. Went to Arcadia, California.
One last job before retirement, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Hmm.
That's so fun. Yeah, it's neat. I love that immersive stuff, and
Hmm.
like I wish Star Trek, I think, had more than that, more of that. That
Yeah.
we would have more immersive things, to be able to lose ourselves in the world of Star Trek a little bit more. But yeah,
Yeah.
one
I
day.
I think the Vegas thing that they had like back in the 90s was like the perfect gateway to that.
Yeah, I know. I never got to go. I've heard great things though.
Yeah. I think like now is the time like they could easily do uh, do a theme park or an immersive experience somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, I agree. It's fun, and like I will say though, the few Star Trek games that have come out
Hmm.
recently, there's the Star Trek, is it Resurgence, I
Yes.
want to say? Yeah, and Telltale,
Hmm.
and God, that was so good. That was so good. I had so much fun playing that.
Hmm.
I won't spoil anything because it was great to be a surprise. But there's certain characters that show up, and you're sitting across a table from them as a young captain, and they're looking to you to make a decision. And I'm like, I cannot let you down. Like, I cannot let you down. Please don't be mad at me. This is what I want to do, but please don't be mad at me. Like the decisions were fairly ambiguous, like what was the right decision to make, and the story was really good. Like that was really fun to play. And then from like 4K management games, Stellaris.
Hmm.
I play a lot of Stellaris, and they just came out with a Star Trek one, that's really good. It's really fun.
Um,
Yeah.
Star Trek Online. You've played that? Yeah.
I have. And I was gonna do the Hollywood thing. I'm actually in Star Trek Online as well.
Are you really?
Yeah. The I I'm oh, I'm blanking on what the mission was called. This is bad. But one of the recent missions that came out at the end of last year with Harry Kim,
Hmm.
I Lieutenant Commander Erin MacDonald has an appearance, and so
Gonna have to hop
gotta
back
let
into my
you know.
character.
It's pretty good. It's pretty great. But aside from that, I do really enjoy Star Trek Online. I picked it up when it first came out, and I did not play MMOs, and I was overwhelmed. And then in during the pandemic, I was streaming on Twitch, and people were like, "Why aren't you playing Star Trek Online? You should play Star Trek Online. You work for Star Trek, and you're on Twitch. Why aren't you playing Star Trek Online?" And so I picked it up, and it was great. It was such a good community. Like so many
Hmm.
people were helping me out, watching me embarrass myself, weeping at like Spock statues, and stepping foot on Deep Space Nine for the first time. And yeah, I mean, I love it. I'll still occasionally pick it up to play the stories that come
Hmm.
out, but I'm still just not. I'm not a big MMO person, so not getting into like having guilds or
Yeah.
grinding like the little daily events or anything like that. It's just kind of not my jam.
Hmm.
But yeah, the community's awesome, and I love the stories they get.
Did you do the circling of Deep Space Nine? I think like we've all done.
You have to, and you sing the theme song. Dun
Yeah.
dun dun dun.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That
Yeah,
I
that was so fun.
I loved going to Deep Space Nine in that game. Like that Deep Space Nine's my favorite Star Trek series, so being able to
Me too.
yeah. So being
Yeah.
able to
Yeah.
go there and seeing Quark's bar and everything's just, and then getting to see Cisco's office and they still had the baseball on the table.
Exactly, exactly. God, I loved it. And that's what I was streaming it live when we did that because again, don't have a brain wired for MMOs. Kind of once
Mhm.
I finished the tutorial, they were like, "Oh, you should check out Deep Space Nine." And I'm like, "But I have a mission to do." And they're like, "You can literally do that whenever. Like go to Deep Space Nine." And I was like, "Okay." And I got really emotional walking around there. It's really cool to walk
Mhm.
around the promenade. And I picked a seat at Quark's, and I was like, "This is my seat now."
And
Yeah, I loved it.
I think Morn's in the bar too at
Yeah.
Quark still.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I tried to have conversations with him. Yep.
Yes, yes. You just walk up to him and it's just the dots.
Yeah.
It's the
I love
dots.
it. I mean, yeah, Deep Space Nine is also my favorite
Mhm.
series, and yeah, it's just such a good vibe.
I feel like Deep Space Nine was just like it hit at the right time too. Like,
Yeah. Well, and what I love is that people are just because I didn't watch it when it was coming out, but I do think with the advent of streaming,
hmm
um, it's really designed for that. A lot when it first released, if you missed an episode in the thick of the Dominion War, you're in big trouble. And so with streaming now, you could really kind of burn through it.
hmm
And God, it's so good. It's so great.
I finally sat down to watch it about 10 or 12 years ago, like when it was on Netflix. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna watch this. And the first two seasons are a little rough to get through, but then once Worf shows up, it just
Yes.
gets going, and it's
Yeah.
it's so good. And I love how when Worf shows up, they talk about the destruction of the Enterprise D in Generations.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's so great. It's so good.
yeah.
Um, and all the lead up to once you've seen it before, like the little hints to the Dominion War, and starting to like meet the various species and not like a change, all the stuff with Odo and the changelings and
hmm
everything. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
It really, really is. Plus, the Defiance, my favorite starship.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, mine is Voyager,
Mhm.
Intrepid class, the little science ship that could.
Really
I
is.
love that ship. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. It's adorable. It's been through so much.
Yes. It was cool
That
to
is my favorite one.
yeah. Oh yeah. How can you not love the Voyager? And it was really cool to see the 3000 Voyager in Discovery.
Loved that. That was so neat. Yeah, you got to have, if the Galaxy class can continue to evolve, then you got to have let these other ones do too. And yeah, I similarly was very emotional to see that.
And then people saying that the J stood for Janeway, I thought was perfect too.
Oh, that was one of my worst moments in playing Star Trek Online when they had the Admiral Janeway mission. And she was like, come meet me on, beam in and meet me on the bridge. And I was like, oh my God, Janeway invited me on her ship. And I'm like running through, and I was so excited. I double tapped forward. And so I did a somersault in front of everyone on the bridge. Never live with myself ever again. Ever again. So embarrassed.
At least you made an entrance.
Exactly. In front of Janeway and everything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Janeway's got a thing to tell the rest of the admirals. Like, you won't believe this character, Lieutenant Commander MacDonald, just showed up.
Exactly. Yeah, good
did
times.
did a flip right in front of me and Chakotay, and then just was like, "Hey, what do you need?"
Yep. Yeah, I do need to actually stream playing the mission that I'm in because then we can get really meta with me hanging out with me, going to go rescue Harry Kim.
That would be fantastic. I would tune in for that.
Thanks.
Yeah. Um, I want to. You mentioned Star Trek Prodigy earlier, and I think that's the little show that could also.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that show means so much. That show genuinely means so much to me, and I'm so glad it has a second life,
Hmm.
that Netflix picked it up and made it available. And I do think more kids are going to find it that way, which makes me really excited. Um, yeah, so when I was brought on to do Prodigy, all I had known about it was that it was they were making a kids animated show at Nickelodeon. And I had just gotten my tattoo of Voyager, the ship. and they folks at CBS had known that, and I met up with the Hagemans, and they sat me down in the secret private area, and they were like, so we hear you have like a tattoo of Voyager. And I was like, oh no, like I try to be so cool, but like, yeah. And they're like, you're gonna want to sit down. Cause like they had just signed Kate Mulgrew to come back as Captain Janeway. And I, yeah, like honestly, that was a huge moment for me just career wise because I'd had this advising job now for a while. It was like 6 months or so, and um and I was starting to have this crisis of like, okay, this is the top job that you can get as an astrophysicist in Hollywood. Like I there's no where do I go from here? And I felt really at a crossroads of, this isn't going to last forever as much as I would want it to. So what do I start doing? And and having been so inspired by Captain Janeway when I was doing my PhD and other characters before that, being able to work on Prodigy and realizing I was going to help write lines for Captain Janeway, that's when I was like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. Like, I'm not meant to become Captain Janeway. I'm not meant to become Dana Scully. And like, my what I want to do in life is write those characters.
Hmm.
And so that's when I kind of started pivoting my career more towards writing and screenwriting and shadowing the writers' rooms more seriously to learn about the TV writing process. And yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed, but keep going in that direction. We'll see.
I I love it because it's a gateway, like you said, it's a gateway for kids to get into Star Trek and to see themselves in this lovable group of misfits.
You know, it's so cute. And I think a lot of people like us who've watched Star Wars and especially Clone Wars,
Hmm.
like the first two episodes of Prodigy were very smartly, I think, designed
Hmm.
to draw in kids who had seen Clone Wars and only Star Wars and had
Hmm.
never seen any Star Trek. And then if you made it through those first two, then episode three like backhands you, is like, nope, you're watching Star Trek, because it's like they're stuck in the gravitational well of a binary star. Welcome to space, kids. And but it's just such a wholesome, good show.
Hmm.
And honestly, some of my favorite just straight up Star Trek episodes. I
Hmm.
think Time Amok, where they have the engine disaster and they all are experiencing time at different rates, is a
Hmm.
fantastic Star Trek episode. Yeah, I hope more people get to watch it.
It, it's funny that you mentioned Clone Wars because you have a Clone Wars cast member in
Yeah.
in the cast. D. Bradley Baker is in Star Trek Prodigy.
In a very different role.
Very much so.
The opposite, in fact. We're
Yeah.
going from humanoid to not. And but yeah, and that delights me to no end,
Hmm.
having a crossover. And that we got to meet him doing Prodigy events, and so that was my little like the clones.
I love D. Bradley Baker. He's also my favorite secret agent platypus as well.
he's, he's so good and
Hmm.
so stupidly talented,
Yes.
stupidly talented.
Um,
um yeah.
yeah. So Prodigy is just I just love it. It's so good and I love that you all made it a gateway for Clone Wars kids to get into Star Trek. Because I was thinking this is the most Star Warsy Star Trek I've ever watched.
Yeah.
And then like you said it just backhands you and it's like, yeah, you can't shoot your way out of a binary star. Like you have to figure this out.
We have to science it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's not like in Solo where they just hit some of the coaxium in the hyperdrive and like get it to go. Like
Exactly.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic.
But I also really like the fact that you're trying to pivot into screenwriting as well because I really see your passion there, and the storytelling is the most important thing out of all of this, and I can see that there are so many stories that you want to tell, whether it be in comics or in television or even hell in video games.
Oh my God. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I, you never know. I think the big thing for me is, and I've said this before multiple times, but like, you never know what's going to click with a kid, right?
Yeah.
And you never know what thing they're going to become insanely obsessed over.
Hmm.
And a lot of this stuff, especially in science fiction, can be a gateway to an entire career that people could just be like, a kid can just be like, I really want a lightsaber. And then people are like, well, lightsabers aren't real. And they're like, well, why not? And then suddenly they're like researching engineering and inventing and
Hmm.
plasma guns and like all of this stuff. And I love that. I think that's the power of story. All this stuff that we're talking about, we all are so passionate about these. And if they hit you at the right time in your life, it can be a life changer.
Oh yeah. And I see you as like a prequels kid like I was.
Yeah,
You know,
totally. Mhm.
yeah. Because like we're in that mindset where yeah, we had the special editions and they were really cool. The original trilogy was cool, but the prequels that was our gateway into all of this.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and then Clone Wars only enhances the prequels like even more. Um but to see like I I could see you writing the next Clone Wars or the next Prodigy or something like that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's manifest that. Let's do it.
absolutely. Absolutely.
I oh, I know. I love those, and that's the thing is I see no problem, and that's everyone kind of has their own draw when it comes to storytelling, and some people want
Hmm.
to write totally new original stuff. Some
Hmm.
people want to play in a sandbox, and for me, it's about taking a universe that already means so much to people and going like, well, what else can we do? Who else can we bring in? How can we like tell more stories and different stories in this? I mean,
Hmm.
like Andor was a freaking work of art, it was an amazing television series that I
Hmm.
just it blew my mind, and to be able to just tell brand new stories with different characters in these universes is just so exciting. And
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
So I have to ask, since we're on television and stuff, a little thing dropped yesterday for a little TV show, um, in which a character may or may not be back from the dead from a previous
I'm
book.
yeah. We're talking about Bad Batch, right? Can we talk
Yes,
about
yes,
Bad Batch?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And I am
And
sorry.
the
I am
Asajj Ventress.
I am sorry. I'm all over the place tonight. I
No, no, no.
apologize.
It is not unheard of for me to be so fixated on the Bad Batch trailer that I totally missed some other big announcement that's come out. I I love the Asajj Ventress. I love it. If they can bring Darth Maul back, bring her back.
Hmm.
Friggin' love her. She's the
Hmm.
greatest. Uh, I just where are we in the timeline? Where can Obi-Wan come into this?
Uh,
Because
uh,
we gotta
so
have another showdown.
so this is it's 18 years before New Hope. So
Right. Okay.
Obi-Wan will have already been on Tatooine at that point.
Obi-Wan's hiding out on Tatooine.
Yeah.
Also a great show. Also a great show. What a gift.
Yes.
What a gift Obi-Wan was. Oh my gosh.
That show was incredible. Hayden Christensen deserved an Emmy nod for that show.
It was so good. And the
Hmm.
girl who played Leia was perfect.
The
She was perfect.
little
Oh,
Leia is like my favorite version of Leia, honestly.
I know. She was so great. She was so to have a character, to have an actor be that young and to be able to draw a thread between her and the character that she would become, who we've seen pretty much her entire life,
Hmm.
oh, was so, so good.
Hmm.
And so yeah, sorry,
No,
tangent.
you're
Asajj
fine.
Ventress. Obi-Wan's chilling on Tatooine. Got it.
Yes. I I was a little floored by it because I read Dark Disciple and like she yeah, because she has like that definitive end in Dark Disciple. And then I was thinking, well, Quinlan did dip her in the water and kind of left. So,
Yeah. Terminator style. Not Terminator, reverse Terminator style.
yeah, it's more like Ra's al Ghul
Yeah,
and the
sure.
Lazarus Pit. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah, no, you know what? I'll buy it. Like
Hmm.
she's such a cool character and
Hmm.
like I do think she wasn't underutilized, but I think that there were unexplored storylines
Hmm.
for her and her characterization and like her relationship with Dooku and all this like I want more of that character in any form.
Have you listened to or read Dooku Jedi Lost?
No.
Sh
Another note.
It's an audio drama, and Ventress is one of the main characters in it.
Awesome.
Yes, it's
Love
so
it.
good. I'm sorry I've been all over the place tonight with my questions and comments.
All good. I've got 10 more minutes. We could talk. We brushed through Mass Effect to be perfectly.
If you want to spend the next 10 minutes talking about Mass Effect, go right ahead.
But you are mostly a Star Wars, so we can still talk about Star Wars. That's fine. I will be meeting in person, and we can have our Mass Effect
Oh yeah.
conversation. So,
I love Mass Effect. Like I said, that Christmas I got it, and I played it so much my Xbox 360 got the Red Ring of Death.
oh no,
Yeah.
kids these days, kids these days will never understand
No, they will
the
not.
Red Ring. Oh
No.
God, that's so sad.
Yeah, so I had to
Yeah,
send it back, but I got the refurbished copy. What's the first game I played like as soon as I got my refurbished?
awesome,
Yeah.
awesome.
Mass Effect, one of my favorites. Mass Effect 2 is my favorite of the three.
Yeah, agreed. I would
Um,
agree.
Plus Martin Sheen as the elusive man.
So good, so good, and like it's so interesting. So I love Mass Effect 2 is like my favorite video
Hmm.
game. The story is so great, and the ending just leaves me so exhausted, like
Yes.
emotionally drained.
Yes.
All the decisions and hoping you did things right. And yes, I have the massive flow chart that I will just put on my desktop so I don't have to screw it up. And I still will make a mistake
Hmm.
occasionally. And then cuz with the legendary edition, which yeah, I'm so grateful came out because I do think more people are picking up Mass Effect because it is more accessible now. Um I one day I was like, you know what? I just want to play Mass Effect 3. I don't think I'm emotionally ready to like play Mass Effect 2 again, so I'm just gonna pick up 3 and I'm just gonna play it. And I didn't have like a save file to roll over because for whatever reason, I have too many save files for Mass Effect floating all over the ether. Um, and I was like, I want to just see what the default choices are, like how
Hmm.
different this game is if you just jump into 3 and do the cursory, like comic book origins. Yeah, do this, but it nowhere near goes into the detail.
Hmm.
Um, and it's okay, but it's not the same. There's just something with
Hmm.
carrying your shepherd through each game and all the decisions you've made along the way that it feels different when you
Hmm.
just pick it up in the middle of it.
Yeah, and I think if you go with the default choices, they give you Ashley. instead of Caden.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yeah, our space racist.
I I'm gonna tell you right now, I killed her. I sacrificed her in that mission. Just
I mean, it's funny because the first couple times I played through, I ended up someone who follows me on Twitch came up with the greatest phrase. I got ninja manced by Caden multiple times, as in like suddenly I'm in a relationship with Caden. I don't know how it happened. We were just being friendly, and so I always used to just kill him because I was like, get out of the relationship, get out of the relationship. I don't like this. And then once I figured out how to navigate it, and I was okay being a little bit mean to him, I I kept him because I
mhm,
wanted to just see what happened. And then him coming back in Mass Effect 3 is so good. Like
yeah.
it's so good. And it's a shame that Ashley didn't, because I do think Ashley could have had a really good, like Caden did, like this
Mhm,
behind the scenes arc that we never saw, but you get a chance to catch up with her. They kind of did her dirty because
mhm.
she's not great, but she could have had that opportunity, for opinions to change.
Yeah, when I there was one time I saved her and in number one, and then when she shows up at the colony in number two, I'm just like, why did I save you?
It's so sad.
Why?
Yeah. My problem is that I never play with a very balanced party because I
Mhm.
just want to hang out with my Krogan and my Turian.
Yes.
And I also play as like a sniper soldier.
Mhm.
And so it's just me and Garrus hanging out in the background to the point that then Garrus like starts running up and like in my scope I see him running across and I'm like, "No, dude. What?" But oh, yes, I love it.
Just
Oh,
remember, Garrus is calibrating those sensors, and he's still calibrating them to this day.
exactly. At my old engineering job, I used to have, because we had like cubicles where your back would be out and people
Mhm.
would have to like kind of come in and interrupt you. And so when I was really trying to be in the zone, I had a sign on the back of my chair that said, like, be right back. I'm in the middle of calibrating.
It's
It's
amazing.
so good.
It's
I love
amazing.
it. Yeah.
Yes. Um, Andromeda, because we were going to talk about that real quick.
Yeah, so Andromeda. So I think like obviously the day one release didn't go well, and I think a lot of people turned off of that. And I really feel it was just the QA on the prologue
Hmm.
was not great because I remember playing that and it wasn't great.
No.
And then that was weirdly at a super tumultuous time in my life, as in
Hmm.
like getting divorced, moving across the
Oof.
country. And so it was like I had picked that up and then I'm going through all of this. Didn't touch it for ages until I had got settled and plugged in my PlayStation again that had sat in the back of my Honda for 3 weeks and um, plugged it in. And obviously, it had all the patches and the updates and just started from the beginning because I'd barely put a dent in it.
Hmm.
And it was fine. And then, man, by the time you meet like what is it, the Angarans,
Yes.
um like the game just woof, like
Hmm.
takes off into the stratosphere and it's such a good game. I loved it.
uh, what was the Angaran's name? Was it like Lal or something like that?
Jaw,
Jal.
jaw,
Yeah,
jaw.
he had a thing for my Scott Ryder.
I I had such a crush on Jaw that when I was in the cruiser on the winter planet, the
Yeah.
ice planet, Cora and him started flirting and I literally like screeched to the nearest buoy and kicked Cora off and never let into my party again. It's like this is happening while I'm driving and I'm hearing this conversation and I'm like, nope, no, no, I don't like any of this.
It's like every parent on a road trip. just like, don't make me stop this car.
You don't stop flirting right now. I'm pulling this over and you're getting out. Yeah, I
Yes.
kicked her out and that was it.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah,
I.
thanks. And his story was great. And I've
Hmm.
gone back and romanced different characters. Like I
Hmm.
like Jaw, but I mean, it's like Garrus is one that I can never not romance. Like it's wrong.
Yeah.
Wasn't as obsessed with Jaw, so I have romanced some of the other characters. Like PB's a little too chaotic for me, but
Absolutely.
Vetra was really good. The Turian. I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe I have a thing for Turians. I don't
Who
know.
doesn't have a thing for Turians, really?
It's true. Honestly, the one I'm the most sad that I couldn't romance was like the general who's back at the station. He seemed pretty cool. I wanted to have a drink with him.
Oh, the Turian general. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. He was in charge of like the security and stuff.
He was a cool dude. Yeah,
He
but
was.
sadly, we haven't got video games to the point where out of the 50 NPCs that you encounter on a regular basis, you can't just pick one.
Like, this is my buddy. I don't care. Like,
We're friends now. We're
yeah,
gonna go hang out. We're gonna go on missions together now.
yeah,
Sorry,
exactly.
dude. Find someone else to take your job.
Liam, get the movie ready.
We're gonna roll persuasion to get you to retire from being your general.
Yes. I wish you could roll that to get him to retire and just come with you.
It's so
Yes.
great.
No,
It's all right.
yes.
We're getting there. We're getting
Yeah.
there.
Real quick, we have a new Mass Effect coming out probably within the next couple of years.
Yeah. Okay. I'm here for it. Obviously, at any point in the timeline, I don't care. I'm just tempering my expectations
Hmm.
because BioWare has been teasing me with the next Dragon Age game for like 8 years at this point. And I wouldn't mind. So I guess the thing is, I don't mind as much with the Mass Effect just because wherever the game takes place,
Hmm.
um, I don't feel like there's an I do feel like there's an incomplete story with Andromeda, but
Hmm.
it's not so much of a cliffhanger that I'm upset about it. And then obviously the Mass Effect trilogy is complete.
Hmm.
But Dragon Age Inquisition, man, if they just left on such a story hangover, and I'm like, oh my god, I really want to play it. I need to know what happens.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I still celebrate N7 Day by taking the day off work and playing Mass Effect all day. So yeah,
That's the way to do it. That is the
I have a
way to do
Mass
it.
Effect onesie now. I
Awesome.
have so much Mass Effect stuff that I remember when the BioWare store went out of business like a few
Hmm.
years ago. And I just blacked out, and then like a week later, a huge box showed up on my doorstep. Like, okay, I bought it all. I bought everything that wasn't sold out.
Would you say it was your favorite store on the Citadel?
I would say it was my favorite store on the Citadel, and yet even that wasn't enough to keep it alive. But the new BioWare store is definitely suckered me in. I
Mm.
didn't know I needed a floating pool Normandy SR2, but now you do too. Yeah,
I do need a floating Normandy SR2 for my pool. Absolutely. If I get that, I gotta get my wife a floating Lapras.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah. If I get a
There you go.
floaty, she's gotta get a floaty. You know, that's how it goes.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well,
So yeah,
um, Aaron, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much.
thank you, Eric. I
Yeah.
love nerding out with people. I appreciate you just letting the conversation roll. This is super fun.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can't wait. We're gonna hang out in a couple of weeks, and we're just gonna geek out.
It's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Farpoint, 9th through the 11th February.
Yes, February
Be
9th
great.
through the 11th, 2024. Get your tickets because it's gonna be a party. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So, um,
Can't wait to see you there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll be stopping by, saying hi. And do you have a booth there, that or a table?
I think so. Yeah, I should have a table, and then I'm doing a couple of panels. I'll have like a science-y talk with a Q&A, and then just a straight up Q&A on Sunday.
Uh,
So it's gonna be fun. Yeah, I'll be very easy to find, and if I'm not there, I'm at the bar. So
I'll be
very
there
easy to
too.
find. Sounds good.
All right. All right, Aaron. Well, thank you once again. That was so much fun. Um, where can people find you on social media, real quick?
So I am mostly on Instagram at
Okay.
Dr. Erin Mac, DrErinMac, and on Blue Sky for any nerds hanging out over there. That's where I'm at. Same handle. Awesome. Um, Twitch, same thing. And
Hmm.
then I have a YouTube channel as well. If
All
you
right.
just search my name, Erin MacDonald, you can find some videos and playlists and links to other videos as well. So yeah,
Awesome.
thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. All right. Well, thank you once again for your time and appreciate this. I'll see you in a couple of